So, a lot of people ask me when I play both War Thunder and Enlisted, which game do I prefer and which game is better. And in this video, finally after multiple times of me being asked this question, I'm finally going to answer it in this video. And to answer you guys all, it's not that clear cut, and it really depends on you as a player and essentially what you prefer in games. But of course, this video has been made possible for friends at Discord. If you haven't liked, subscribed, or joined the Discord, I highly suggest that you do. But that said, let's get started. So a little bit of background about me. I played essentially Enlisted when it first came out, and after that I kind of gave up on it because I thought Enlisted was kind of boring compared to, well, other stuff I had in life in general. And then I did some War Thunder after years of not touching any video games, essentially, and I kind of liked War Thunder for a while until I got horrified about the grind and I hated it, and now I'm back to Enlisted. But I still do both War Thunder and Enlisted sometimes. As a matter of fact, I was just doing 5 games in War Thunder around 2 hours ago, so that's cool. And let's get started what I think about War Thunder. And there's a lot of pros. For one, War Thunder goes from the interwar period, which is a little bit time before World War II, to the modern era, and to be exact, all the way up to the current day. Some of the weapons that you have on the top tech tree is some of the weapons that are being currently used in some wars currently going on right now, so that's interesting. It has a wide range of planes, tanks, and ships, mostly more vehicles, more factions, and is generally more polished than Enlisted. And the issue is with cons is the grind. For example, to get to the top tech tree of, for example, one of the easiest tech trees that you can get to the top to, mostly because it's quick, is going to be China, which I'm playing right now. The grind is absolutely horrendous. I've essentially taken me more than 2 years to grind up an entire faction, so that's insane. And I haven't even accounted for the air tech tree or the helicopter tech tree, which is probably even worse. What's more is that people suffer in the game, more so than Enlisted, I come to find, and the reason is because the game is designed to be one hit, you're out. And essentially it is hit or miss, which could be a lot of pain for a lot of players, especially the new players, so that's gonna be it. And the fun factor, I honestly think that if you're having fun in Gaijin, you either mastered the game to a certain extent, or you're playing essentially air realistic, which is something I like to do sometimes, so that's gonna be honest. Ground realistic is once again hit or miss for me. But let's move on to Enlisted. For example, the pros for Enlisted is pretty interesting. Enlisted is a tank, infantry, and planes game, but it is also not that simple as Enlisted with tanks, once again. For one, the infantry are grouped into squads, and Enlisted operates more on the squad level, in the sense that you can essentially have squads running around, and if one of your squad member dies, you can just switch to the other member. This makes the game much more bearable, because it's not hit or miss. You can essentially learn from your mistakes in said battle, and very quickly, if you ask me, and sometimes in seconds, and counter that and still have fun. This is the exact same thing with tanks and planes. Also, what's more interesting is that games last usually much longer. War Thunder games, if you're at a decent average game, I would say 10 minutes. Enlisted game lasts somewhere around at least 20 to 30 minutes, so that's that. Another pro that Enlisted has is it focuses on World War II, and it's generally much more fun because of the squad system and because of, well, what you can do. The grind is also much better, with me having to grind essentially 2 months to unlock a full back then campaign, but it's going to be much harder, at least around half a year, to grind out an entire faction. And this includes everything with tanks, weapons, and essentially planes. So that's that. But the cons are also very, very prevalent. For one, War Thunder has much more factions, and Enlisted only has 4, which is something that a lot of people are complaining about. Also, there's only World War II stuff. There is no Cold War or Modern Era, although in the mod files you do see AK-47s, AKMs, and AK-103s, I believe, and a T-80U, so that's that. On the other hand, They have a lot less planes and vehicles, which also is because of the grind. The grind is much better, but because of the grind is much better, most people who, like me, have maxed out the entire campaign have nothing to grind for. And the game is overall a little bit more buggy compared to War Thunder, but if you really ask me, you're only gonna see bugs the 1% of the time, so that's not very noticeable at all. That said, we get on to the verdict. And what do you guys think about Enlisted? It really depends on you. And what do you guys think about War Thunder? It still depends on you. For one, if you want to ask me which is the better Gaijin game, instantly off the bat, it's War Thunder. War Thunder has just made so much money for Gaijin, it's not even funny. It's not even funny, to be exact. It's capitalism at its best, to be exact. And I would say, in terms of getting revenue, War Thunder obviously ticks it out. But for the player, I would personally say Enlisted is more fun. Enlisted does have its frustrating bits, especially with essentially the merge and essentially with some parts. Overall, Enlisted is much more better than War Thunder, and not because War Thunder is grindy, but there's a lot more nuance to Enlisted. Of course, there's much more nuances to War Thunder with flares, essentially stuff like that. War Thunder feels like you can't really have fun without frustrating, and Enlisted feels like you can have fun while you're frustrating, and mood swings can happen very fast. For one example, you can be frustrated at a person killed you in 2 seconds, and you instantly, in another 2 seconds, you can kill him back. Essentially what War Thunder is designed to do. So that's very cool. But in my opinion, it's a whole different game, not just War Thunder with Infantry, because War Thunder with Infantry implies that there's a bunch of guys running around shooting bazookas at tanks. Enlisted, on the other hand, would imply something completely different with squads, with machine gun squads, with sniper squads. Everything is completely different, and it's not just simply brushed with War Thunder with Infantry. And Enlisted is still growing. That is something I don't think a lot of people knows. War Thunder is very old by now compared to Enlisted standards. Enlisted has just, well, it has failed the Steam launch, but I'm pretty sure Enlisted is still going to go on Steam. But overall, Enlisted is growing, and I honestly don't know what Enlisted is going to be like after years. And honestly, Enlisted might one day surpass War Thunder, and that's because how fun War Thunder is. We can literally have modern conflict zones in which we have M4s, AK-47s fighting, you know, essentially modern era with the squad system that we have. We essentially had a taste of that in the modern era event, and that was pretty cool in my opinion. Overall, War Thunder versus Enlisted, it really depends on you. As of right now, I'll say War Thunder is definitely more polished and has more factions. These include up to tanks, planes, and ships. But overall, in terms of fun, my personal opinion, and this is my personal opinion, is that Enlisted is much more fun. But that said, what do you guys think? I played both games. I'd like to hear your guys' opinion. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.